There we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, was Linda coming in today, Michelle, to do the minutes?
It should be here next week.
Okay. Public comment. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from last week?
Yes.
Do I hear any corrections?
I did the same.
If not, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I so moved, Mr. Chairman. I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports.
I had a project concern meeting last Wednesday. Mr. Shealy wasn't able to attend, so we didn't go through the strategic planning, how we evaluated it. So we're having a special meeting March the 29th at 5:30. Project concern to go over how we rated what we thought we should address and put a timeline on it. That's all I have. I don't know.
Okay, I had a special meeting of the NEK Multi-Health meeting on Multi-County Health Board last week, and I'm having another one this week. We've got some personnel issues that are being taken care of in executive session, so I'm not really free to divulge anything, but I just wanted to let you know that there's some things going on. So I have another meeting tonight, so I can do that after the Farm City thing. Okay. Okay, Troy, come on in.
All right, I brought a couple copies so you guys can kind of flip through them if you care for. But same thing, just our normal format for our normal lease purchases. This is for the wheel loader for the road and bridge.
We appreciate the bank's willingness to work with the county on purchases like this.
Absolutely.
Just something here when it talks about insurance. Do we get this right on the insurance inventory list immediately? And is that through you or?
Through K.S.A. Department heads can all go in individually and put their own items in.
Okay. It's just something that I hadn't really heard talked about yet, so it's like extremely important to get that right on the inventory list immediately.
Basically, like you get financing for a car, you got to have some kind of insurance to protect the lender.
We get it. Everyone puts things, acquisitions in throughout the year, and then we get a general listing in like September, October, and we verify everything that's on the list to make sure everything's on there. So,
Is there any discussion on any of this? Do I hear a motion to allow me to sign off on the financing for the wheel loader?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Where does the interest come from? What account is it charged to?
Road
Is
and
it
Bridge.
charged to Road and Bridge or is it charged somewhere else?
No, this is through, this is not through Road and Bridge.
Why wouldn't it come out of his budget? It's
This one I don't think came out. This was through, on the budget process, we put it under County General.
I don't know why we do that.
Who's responsible for budgeting county general? Seems like we take a lot of stuff out of county general.
County general gets the bulk of it because it's easy to move that money around and not be in violation for audits.
County
Who's
general.
who's in charge of it? Treasurer, county treasurer.
Patsy Porter, CPA, is who actually does our budgets in the
Yeah, but
summertime.
Jack's question was who watches it, who's accountable, who keeps it accountable.
Well, this is a piece of equipment leased by the road and bridge. It's not out of their budget.
Correct. We approved that budget at budget time. This was budgeted, but it was budgeted to come out of that account because of we had to move some things around for the tax lid.
It just seems to me that, I mean, maybe I didn't get accounting 101 very well, but where the expense occurs is where it ought to be charged. I think that's a basis of accounting. But,
Well, there's been other equipment, and if you want, we can go there. I mean, we can definitely.
I just think we should take a look at it in our budget process.
Absolutely.
The expense ought to show where it's been spent.
Yes, I agree. But at the time, it was deemed. I mean, this was with the new tax lid. There were certain things that could be expended and are counted against the tax lid. Some things couldn't, and by shoving this into the general, it helped on the formulation. So that's the reason it was done. Now, whether that's the correct way that it should be, and it wouldn't be as transparent, you're absolutely correct.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0.
So was it easy to deal with it?
Hey, easy enough.
There's one, all three of our signatures here too.
Should be double copies of this, did you?
Okay, was there two of these? Or you handed two over?
Yeah, that was just for review. I only need one copy though.
Okay.
I believe there might have been a attestation on
You
it.
need a copy?
I got them all mixed up.
That's okay.
What was you looking? The very last page was the one where you had the list in the.
Yeah, there's just the bottom of the one with
Oh,
all
an
the
attestment.
signatures. And then I will get a copy of this sent to you,
You
Michelle.
need this stamped with our stamp on it.
Uh,
Those announcements can do it.
Okay, great. And then I got an invoice from Fully Equipment. I've contacted them, so I will get a check out in the mail today. So
Okay.
that's
Thanks, sir.
all right. Anything else from you guys? Or?
I can't think of any. Do we have a resolution?
Yes. Resolution number 2018-1435.
Thank you, guys.
I'll probably see you tonight.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you for getting
Is that
those to
happening
me.
tonight?
The Farm City Banquet.
I guess I didn't get the memo.
Well, nobody did, it just kinda,
It's one of those things that's.
well, Sheila at the bank called me and said, you guys want tickets? I said, yeah, I asked.
There was nothing that was ever sent to the county as
There never is. I know that.
Okay, well, that's okay.
I'm sure there's tickets available. Probably a good check.
contact her.
Yeah, I just, no, I was just surprised it was going on.
Michelle, there's a good, at the very last page of this, there's kind of a,
Correct. Yes.
so
The
that
schedule.
would be, yeah.
Yes. He's
Yeah.
going to get me documents of everything.
Mhm.
He's going to email those to me. So, and I base my payment schedule on my calendar reminders of that.
Okay, good. I had asked Melissa Crane to come up and explain those things. Since Seth isn't on here till 2, would she be available to come up?
I can text her because she told me she wanted to come up. She didn't know for sure what time, but let me.
You got those setters pulled aside, you can ask her. That's
I had gave them to her.
okay.
Yeah, she's got those.
Well, she's coming up. I would make a motion that we direct Michelle Phillips, clerk, and Jamie Madison, personnel director, to look for some personnel to orchestrate our county strategic planning initiative as soon as possible.
Wouldn't that motion be all department heads?
Well, I just wanted to find the director, the facilitator, so we get it started.
And that was a motion?
Was a motion.
I'll second it. I think strategic planning, if you use realistic goals, can be very beneficial.
Is there a timeline or anything to go with that?
Maybe next week. So come back with a person.
I don't know if they can get it put together.
I'm
that
going to be
quick.
gone all next week.
Okay.
I have a course at Wichita.
April 2nd.
Should we have the county treasurer involved this as well, so she doesn't feel like she's left out?
My motion's only intended for them to find a facilitator, and they could use, as far as I'm concerned, as many people. If that person's local, out of the area, or whatever. Maybe it's an internal person that's available to do strategic planning.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0.
If you find somebody, well, I guess we'll find out when we meet what the cost is before we.
Okay, well, we're waiting. The leadership breakfast is the 13th of April. Have we filled the table yet for that? Or?
We have not yet.
Okay.
I don't think it would be difficult to do that.
Also, as a reminder, the gubernatorial debate will be here in Atchison on April 13th also, at 7 p.m. at the event center.
Who is this?
The Republican gubernatorial candidate debate in Atchison.
Oh.
On that day also at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay, I hadn't heard that.
I hadn't either. What is there, 3 of them?
There's more than
I
that.
don't know.
More, 5 of them? There's quite a few.
Well,
You said 7 p.m.?
yeah. I'm sure you'll see who it is. I'm sure the governor will be participating. I understand he's still running.
Okay.
Do you have to RSVP or just show up, or
I think to show up.
that might be interesting to listen to.
Also, there's an announcement of the Atchison Rotary Club is having their 100th anniversary happy hour Thursday, March 22nd at 5 p.m. at the Atchison Event Center. Go.
They were asking for an RSVP.
There is no. I didn't see any RSVP. Oh, yes, there is. I did see it. Didn't see it. Atchison Rotary Club at yahoo.com. Thank you.
can go down and check with her. She's not coming back, or she's not texting me back.
Okay.
So I can run down there.
You want to run down this one?
Well, when she gets back, we kind of jumped over number 7. Old business, new business. Or new business. We probably need to discuss about the fur harvesting at the county lake, about land and smoking and signage.
Is we going to do that when Seth was here? The lake, or
maybe
maybe it doesn't need to
he's
be.
in charge of that kind of, so yeah, it makes sense. Not telling you what to do, Jack, but if you get Kim tonight, it's a very enjoyable week. Chamber to have tickets, or I think we could ask Troy at the bank, I don't know.
He was out the door before we brought it up.
Yeah.
Exchange's payment on that is $50 less than what they did. So if you put in the spreadsheet already, you don't need to change it.
So which one you gonna go by, the original?
We're going by the small. That's our policy. Their bid was $42,119.50. The paperwork was $42,073.07.
Michelle, I thought we had a paper to sign for.
Shelby.
Oh, yeah.
And I also have a resolution, but I think that's going to be later. Correct? Councilor Henderson?
Oh, that's up to them.
The resolution is for the.
The rules at the county lake rules.
Okay. All right. Melissa's here, so let's go ahead and.
Hello.
No.
He's
Commissioner Bear had a question why there was $27,000.
I was just curious why there was such a reduction.
Okay. This the first one, the MGPI, they came in for a hearing on a couple of their buildings, and we had them in the IRB program. They were getting exempted from their taxes. And this is the first year that they came out of it. So because they were exempt and the value had already been established, prior to when I got here, the listing of the property and everything, I didn't notice or didn't look at it, I guess, close enough to until they came in for a hearing to realize that there were some things about the way it was listed that kind of made it come out a little high. Like the M&S class was listed as what is it? In my notes. It's the structural class. It had the very highest listing, like what a building that would be like a skyscraper type steel frame class, when really it didn't need to have that structure because it isn't that structure. So I lowered that, and the office buildings themselves are Very, very nice.
These
Very
are
nice.
corporate, they're corporate offices.
They're the corporate offices. Very nice. And they were expensive to build and all of that. But they brought me some rents that they got from some realtors when they protested their value. They said, we could not get a lot of rent out of these properties if, they were renting them out, and an investor who would be thinking about buying these buildings wouldn't be able to get a lot of rent out of these properties just because of the market in Atchison County. So they brought me some rents from some realtors, and they wanted me to compare them with what some of the other buildings were valued at. And these are really nice buildings, but I did give it a good look, and I looked at the rents that they brought me, and I didn't agree with them because they were saying things like $4 a square foot, which is fairly typical, but these are ultra nice buildings. And I thought, there's no way they would rent for higher than that. I printed out my hearing folder, but it came out on really big paper for some reason, so I didn't mean to do that. So I dug through, and I haven't, since I've been here, I send out letters every year to collect rent and expense information. And I'm building a file, and I get more and more data every year. But I didn't,
It makes a bigger database to draw from.
On income and expense information. But I didn't have a whole lot of office rent data. And I wanted to do an income approach on these offices. So I dug around in Jim's files, and I was finally able to find some office rents that were more comparable to what I thought these buildings would rent for, and some of the nicer offices. And so I did do an income approach. I did lower their structural class, and I did lower the functional because of they could be considered overbuilt for it's hard to sell something that's doesn't have a market. It's like we're not Kansas City here, and it might be hard to sell that kind of building. So I did lower their value on their 2 office buildings here.
So let me try to understand. They were on IRBs.
They were IRBs.
The IRBs, so they weren't on the tax rolls.
No.
So this is the first year they've been on the tax
Yes.
rolls. So we had to lower the taxes.
Well, we did because they paid them under protest. This is for the 2017s. They paid them under protest. It was 2017 was the first year that they were on the tax roll.
Right.
They paid them under protest when they paid them in December.
I understand now. I just thought, whoa, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So I did lower their value. After I took a good look at it, I looked at the rents, and another thing there is to think about. They were wanting $4 a square foot, and I did an income approach on somewhere around $12 a square foot or something like that. I can't find my notes. The State Board of Tax Appeals, we've been the county appraisers as a group. There's been some people that have been trying to get the legislators to buy into the dark store theory. Have you heard about that?
I've been reading about it.
Yeah. And I've been talking to several county appraisers lately as we've been talking about legislation that we don't want to pass. And it's kind of the consensus among the group that the State Board of Tax Appeals has been pretty friendly to commercial property owners, in that when you bring a case to the State Board of Tax Appeals, the gal, Kathy Briney, she's the county appraiser in Wyandotte County, she said, seems like everything that goes before the board, Kansas City, the commercial properties, it seems like they take the taxpayers' value, which of course they always lowball it. They want to get the cheapest taxes they can, and the county's value, and split the difference, even if it makes no sense at all, no rhyme or reason. She says it seems like everyone she brings to them, they just split the difference, county's value. And so you kind of almost want to avoid the State Board of Tax Appeals if you can. If you can come up with a decent income approach and try to get a
That's
reasonable
tough
value
if you
that way.
base the taxes off rental, because we have none, but yet those are nice buildings they own.
They are. It's like the cost of those buildings. You know, you have your three approaches to values. What it would cost, less depreciation. Income approach, what an investor would pay based on the kind of income he could make, less expenses. Income, less expenses, capitalized. Or your comparable sales. And, you know, there just aren't any comparable sales of those types of buildings. So really, income approach is something to be relied upon because that's what an investor would pay. If he was to buy a building like that here, he would buy it with the idea of what kind of income he could make off that building. You know?
So when you ask people to send back their information, commercial building owners, they all send it back?
No.
Are they
Absolutely
required
not.
to send it back?
No, they're not required to.
They
I
would-
keep the
they would be
information.
if they've enrolled in that free taxes for so many years, wouldn't they have to send that information?
With the
Tax abatement?
Yeah, that's one of the things we do.
I think a lot of property owners look, and I'm just being honest with you, I think a lot of property owners say, why would I want to provide that information? Because they're afraid it's going to cost them more taxes.
Yeah.
So they don't return it, and if you can't...
We ask for it. It doesn't say in the letter, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. So maybe they think that they need to do it.
I think it's become...
I don't know.
Knowledge among the building owners, they don't need to return it.
Yeah.
I'm just...
Yeah.
I'm being saying some reality of it.
I'm sure most people know that they don't have to return it, but it helps us to do a dependable, reliable income approach if we have dependable, reliable income and expense data. A problem with income data is so many properties are owner-occupied, so they don't have income data necessarily, but they might have expense data, and that helps us too, to figure out what the expenses are for a typical office building, you know, and then maybe we could get income from other sources, other counties, other regional data, you know, that kind of thing.
Are you satisfied with the outcome, the discount? Do you think
Yeah.
that's fair?
I am. I'm satisfied with the value. But the other thing that you guys gave me was the theater. You gave me the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, we had a value on it of $102,000. And this one ended up being on the market for a really, really long time. And I had a hearing with them. It sold. It finally sold. And they brought pictures of the inside of the building. That's another problem for us. We don't always get to see the insides of the buildings. We don't normally at all get to see the inside of the buildings. But they brought pictures of the inside, and it was in pretty bad shape. And it had been on the market, on the open market, for a really long time. And so we lowered it closer to the sale price.
On another matter, what
Well, that's
about,
like 2/3 of the value, isn't it? A third of the value?
It went from $102,000 to $37,250, almost.
Now, how soon when they get it renovated and it's back,
We won't go into that.
you won't be on because it'll be...
Well, it's on. It's just on as a not-for-profit, so its assessment rate's different. It's 12% instead of 25%. It's still
where I was
on.
going.
how you going to deal with the Long John Silver's building? I mean, it's still there, but it's not operating, so that's discounted as well.
Once they moved that Long John Silver's was one of the buildings I relisted last year, so I was actually out there, and you could tell had some maintenance issues on the outside and everything. So I ended up it was empty. I ended up lowering their value a little bit. well, I don't know how much I lowered it for 2018, this recent year. And I talked to the owner because she called and she asked if it was going to be lowered because Long John Silver's moved out. And I told her it really wasn't going to be lowered because Long John Silver's moved out, but that I did lower it because I thought the condition had deteriorated since the last time we were out there and inspected it. And once they got a new tenant in there and fixed it back up and, did the painting and the whatever they do, spiffed it back up a bit, that we would probably bump it back up to a higher value again.
So, Melissa, let's just say that someone owned buildings downtown, and you just lowered the valuation of this theater property based upon fair market value, right?
Yeah.
So does that lower the fair market value of every building downtown?
No, because not every building downtown has the condition issues that this building had.
I was in the building, and definitely roughly could have smelled.
Yeah.
The mold was pretty intense, but I think
Yeah.
you could find that in other buildings downtown.
Yeah, we can't necessarily because we don't get to see inside.
Yeah.
But I did go look in there's a building down there that one of the banks owns, and it's a pretty large building. It used to have like a restaurant and a bar in the back, Parker House or something like that.
That's been different names.
Yeah, and then it had like a consignment shop.
517.
Yeah. Now that building, I think it's a sturdy building, but it could use some rehab, definitely. And the bank's going to put it on for $90,000. It's been for sale, but the bank's going to put it on for $90,000. And we don't necessarily consider bank sales
Typical.
fair market value because, yeah, usually with a regular sale where you have a realtor and everything, they get those properties ready. They make them attractive. They're more marketable. And usually with the bank sale, they don't care what kind of junk's sitting around, and they're just less desirable. There's less marketable, and they usually sell for less than market value. So 90 might be a little low for that big building. It has, second
Theoretically,
floor.
I think it's a little high.
The 90,000 for that
Based
building.
upon other sales, I know that they are.
Well, I know we've had a couple buildings sell for $65,000 right down the street, and they're much smaller. They weren't in that great a condition either, and they've been spiffed up. That house where that building where that marketing, it used to be Joe's Coffee or whatever.
They down on 7th Street.
Just beyond the mall.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, there's a building, and that's a nice building now.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that great at all before, and it sold for $65,000, much smaller.
I think the Runyon building.
The Runyon building where the credit union is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that one sold for.
That was pretty cheap.
In the 40s.
Yeah. How long did
That's
it sell?
one Willie.
But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But it may sit there a couple of years too.
It's just hard to say. Just if you get the right buyer, and maybe it being in the mall is what makes a difference, because they could put apartments above the one that sold for $65,000, and I guess you can't put apartments in the ones in the mall. You can now.
You always have been able to.
Well, somebody said you couldn't. The lady.
So there's rules about exits and fires and those kind of things.
If you can be compliant, you can do it.
But there's the same rules on 7th Street.
Oh, really? Because that was maybe a misunderstanding on my part of what the rules were.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody above malls currently.
But anyhow, it is a big building. It's quite a bit bigger than most of those others that have sold. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it sells for.
Well, Melissa, what caught my eye was the largeness of it. I understand it all. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
All right.
Hey, I got a shingle blown off my house. If I go home and break 3 windows, my taxes are put on.
Hey, I have a built my house.
Sounds like
We need to sign those 2 copies.
Okay.
Those are ours.
sounds like deferred maintenance to me. Alrighty, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna bring my report, my preliminary ratio study report, but I just hadn't had time to dig it out yet. It looks good, by the way, at the preliminary. We're all in, our numbers are looking good for both residential and commercial for our preliminary. And I'll give you guys that. I might make an appointment to just come up next Tuesday or something and give you a report.
Do you have the information on ag land, how much it's went up by county? You always have provided those maps with the green maps and comparative county to county or statewide. Okay, I'll have to come down there and get a couple of those. Those are always very informative.
Yeah, I'll get that.
Compare
I'll dig
statewide
that
view.
out for you.
Okay,
All right, thanks.
thank you. I think 11 on farm ground. I don't know about countywide commercial and pasture. I don't know if it went up that much or not. Just before Seth scheduled it too, but we had last week we had the solid waste meeting, and it was brought up there that we want to do a feasibility study of adding on to the building out there at the solid waste facility for the recycling. And they came back from Schwab Eaton was going to do this study. I thought that we had indicated that we wanted to do both an add-on to the current building and a standalone building. This has come back and it says for $6,000 study, and that it will just be for the add-on only, and if we want to add on and do a separate building, that will be the design services can be added onto the contract. So
I think Stacy needs to sit down, look at the numbers, decide which way she's going to go, or wants to go, or the solid waste committee.
well, anyway, this was brought. They were supposed to. They wanted the results back. It was 27th, which is a week. So this is here for us to sign, and I didn't know whether we wanted to go ahead and just with the standalone, since that's the way it came in.
Thought I heard the recommendation from Stacy is the addition, because it costs more employees to look at a separate building.
Okay. Well, maybe
And I think that the other building did come up as discussion. And I may not have all the facts. I'm just saying that's my recommendation. Is that was the recommendation to have an addition.
Okay.
But,
if that was the recommendation,
The way I took it, because I'm the one that brought it up, I think she said the add-on addition would accomplish what they're wanting to do, but a standalone building probably down the future would be the better of the choice. But
I think they can utilize their employees so much better in the same
right.
facility. So, and I'm fine with that. I just wanted to get clear that we weren't going to come up with something and we thought we were going to get B, and we thought, we ordered A and we got B. So now, does this need to be signed by me or just approved? I mean,
it does need to be signed by us. And I do believe when I spoke to Stacy last week, this has some changes to it from the previous. The previous was the addition, the add-on only, and he did actually change the verbiage there to where it can encompass both studies.
we need to sign that one, and let that one go blind till we get the other one.
But I think this was just kind of like the initial approval to start the study.
I think it would be more. I don't think you're going to get both studies for the same price. So we could always add on if we want to go ahead and look at the other one. We could always.
Well, my thinking would be if we sign off on that, they say, okay, $6,000. Here's your add-on. Now here's a standalone. Now we want another $6,000. I would like to get if he's got another one drawn up with.
They don't have that.
Well, you said they did have that.
I'm thinking that this one encompassed the verbiage for that.
If it becomes evident that engineering efforts in excess of $6,000 are required, we will explain the additional work required and obtain approval for the additional time and fee.
hopefully beforehand.
Yes, that would be, wherever that would have to be, they would have to get approval before they could do it. So do I hear a motion to accept?
Is that something that has to be signed today? It is, because
They wanted the service done by next week, is what Derek had said.
I haven't had a notice of a meeting at this point.
I do remember the timeline because I thought it was extremely close from last week. How are you guys reading?
Well, if it has to be signed today, I guess we have to act on it. But if it didn't have to be signed today, I'd like to get a little bit more information, a little bit more input from either the Solid Waste Committee or from Stacy.
Well, we have contact Stacy.
Stacy's on vacation, so she's not even.
Maybe she can contact her.
Okay, well, let's just put this on hold for now.
Well, at least half hour.
Okay, no, that's what I mean.
If you can't get a hold of Derek, I don't know who else on that board.
Justin.
Well,
Justin. Sean.
John, you get a hold of him.
He's somebody would know them.
Okay, Seth, you're here. Come on up.
Did you have a chance to look and see what you budgeted for the oil so we can compare it less? You didn't.
No, I was worried about trying to get them bridge off from Drapery. I could probably get it pretty quick. Maybe even have it on this. 15 minutes till then. Do we want to talk the bridge stuff now, or you want to wait till after when we have more time?
It's, however,
We can't open up the bids till 2 o'clock, so
Right.
you got almost 20 minutes.
utilize your time how you best
Yeah.
can present it.
Okay. Well, I guess County Lake Day, we got that accomplished yet, or
Well, no,
Is this
I
it
made
right
the
here?
changes that were on there. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read it. I printed it. So I'm familiar with it. It takes out hunting and fur trapping, those were previously prohibited. And then it adds in the no smoking, just really by referencing the resolution 2016-1420 that you already adopted. And there were a couple other things. I changed that about pets to instead of having them on a leash at all times, to just have it under the control of the owner or handler. I did wonder about in number 5. It says pets shall be under the control of the owner or handler at all times. Are hunting dogs pets? On horses pets? Should it be domesticated animals? Should it be? I don't know what the right word is. Is pets the right word? I'm open to constructive criticism about it if you have a suggestion. And I also had a wonder if we really needed to have scuba diving as prohibited. That was in number 13.
You may need that if you look for the alligator.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what the
That's
that was.
deleted, I would think.
No. Is this what's going to be up for approval today?
Unless you wanted me to take out the scuba diving in paragraph 13, but I could just reprint it and have it ready.
I have no opinion on that.
Yeah,
It
there's
doesn't bother me that it's there.
some suggestion about pets. that should be changed.
Would the word domesticated animals words be more appropriate? I mean, I'm actually fine with that, but you know how in the litigical society how things can be parsed. The meanings of these words, so
Maybe using $10
Maybe just
words
use
today.
animals, but
maybe I've been reading too much.
I guess I wouldn't. You can use animals except if there's a squirrel out there, it's under the control of the owner.
I think we're putting way too much thought into this.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Sign it and deliver it. Wrong, we'll blame Eric.
I can take it. So you on board with the language then? Okay.
I don't think you could put, there's somebody, you know,
I don't think you're gonna have anybody out there scuba diving.
no open-toed shoes. I mean, you're crazy.
And like I said, you got hunting, you got bird dogs. I've been behind some dogs. You see them on this ridge and the next ridge.
Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to accept the resolution? Do we have a number for this yet?
I should give it to you, but it's
I didn't hear it.
you had it right at 136.
2018-1436.
1436.
I would
didn't know that's-
make a motion to that effect, Mr. Chairman.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's 3-0.
So you'll get with, what's his name, Kurt?
Tyler.
Tyler, you'll get with Tyler and
Basically everything on the contract side and everything we're good through there. We just need to have this passed or we can open it back up for hunting. And so they can place their signs states there is hunting that allowed out there through their program. So we are good.
we just had Troy from the bank come up and sign off on the
Finance
wheel loader on the finances, and Commissioner Bauer brought up a point, and I would agree. Looks like that would be coming out of your budget, so you should budget those payments in your budget. And I think it's coming out of county general. You said because of the tax lid or something.
The tax lid, that was taken care of and budgeted that way at budget time, correct? I mean, there's,
Correct. Every year, anything on a lease purchase comes through the general side. It's never came out of my budget since I started.
Even though it's basically
Even though it's based off my department, everything's always came out of the
county general.
debt to own or
That may well be the way it's done, but I think you probably, it makes very good sense to have it come out of the department. If those funds hadn't been in the past, these payments will come in March out of your budget that you're going to do next year or for next year, so they haven't been budgeted as of yet. But I'm thinking especially if we have a lease purchase on any of the shared projects, joint communications or solid waste, that you would definitely want those reflected in the budget of that operation so that we had a fair estimate of what those cost.
we may have to check on that because I believe that loader was put in for 2018. That was maybe the payments are going to be scheduled. We ran into this out of solid waste too, where we had budgeted, but then the payments didn't start until the next year, and that's the reason we bought that pickup and changed some of those things around. So I believe this has been budgeted for 2018. Now, if the payments are going to start in 19, we may have a discrepancy there.
I think we
sometimes
got
it is.
financial manager.
is that what Troy stated? Is that payments won't be until next year, or are they starting?
Well,
Yeah, it starts, your first payment's March 19th,
Okay. So
2019.
now, do you want me to go back and
March
all
14th,
these
excuse me.
purchases that I have through that? Do I need to start budgeting those? Like I said, when we do the bridge bonding, if I'm going to do that, my budget's going to increase or going to have to increase to accommodate those, or I'm going to lose my main budget.
I think that's a budgeting question at budgeting time, because basically it would just be restructuring the budget to reflect the same expenditure. So I think it would make things more transparent for the consumer, the reader of the budget, to
Each
see.
department should be doing it the same way. I would think.
Okay. And that's fine. I just want to make sure that you didn't see, okay, you're at 2.3 this year, you're staying there, but you had to add all these other factors in, and then I lose that extra money in there. So, yeah, we can discuss that at budget season. We'll pull all that in.
I mean, you could have the budget look completely different, set up in a different way, and not spend $1 more. I mean, it would be budgeted out per department.
Most taxpayers only care about the bill levy at the end.
Yes.
I would keep track of it. I don't think they care that much.
That's fine. We can do this.
I think where that would possibly help is once you adopted that method, and then you could see how your expenditures, maybe over a 10-year period, it was be more of a direct reflection of what that department was spending versus, well, we have to extract this bit of data from the general to put with it, and so you're getting more of a shell game.
There's a lot of different
Moving
heck,
parts
I
to it.
have 3 or 4 lease purchases out there right now, so it'll show a big difference. Which I'm fine with that. At least it'll show what my department is actually spending. Because right now I just see what's my main, but I don't see the lease purchase side of it. So, good. I'm gonna start on this bridge stuff until after, because I'm sure it's gonna be a lengthy conversation.
So let's get the introduction of that.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So I had done 3 options here.
These are all the same.
They all have.
Are these in 3 different ones?
Yeah,
on the sheet?
they're the 3. They're all the same. They're all
Okay.
the same thing. As you can see, I put the numbers. The first one, we're going to be short up to $2 million by quite a bit, but that was with that low water crossing. The second option is adding another 140-foot bridge in there, which brings it up to closer to the $2 million. And then the third option is just doing that low water crossing with a box structure, which is not a fracture critical bridge, but it is on a main traveled bus route. And these are the ones that are all on the gravel roads, other than the low water crossing one.
Who's
Or
number 3? Or all of them?
all of them are the main gravel roads, bus routes, besides that 23.6 N-6. And that's that low water crossing that I've been talking about. And I just kind of threw that in because it's eliminating a bridge structure. It's so those are kind of the 3 I looked at. The other ones that we had on our list, they were dirt roads, field accesses, things I didn't feel that were a good idea for this round. My fear is if we go with the top 2, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but there's only 5 structures on that. If we go with the bottom one, there's 6 structures. I mean, either way, they're all going to get done eventually, but that's kind of what I projected on all these. And that's kind of what, when I went back and looked at my notes, these are the ones we kind of looked at back and forth. The other 3 or 4 that we looked at were thrown out. You guys didn't really have a care for those. And so we can change them out. We can do it kind of whatever way you want. That's just kind of the options that I had come up with at that point. And if you'd like to see the structure, I got the PowerPoint still. If you'd like to see what structures they actually are.
19.0 is which? Oh, that's 140.
That is just off. It's down by Cummings, southern part of the county, central.
Obviously, that's the most expensive. How critical is it?
It's a fracture critical. It is a bus route. There's houses on the road. It is a gravel road. It's not the worst fracture critical bridge we have, but it is one of the biggest fracture criticals we have. And it's a good span. And there's a lot of mitigation work that's probably going to have to be done with that one also. And the numbers you see next to them, that's the average numbers that I took from all the engineers' estimates. So they could be lower than that, depending on the engineer.
So, Seth, which option do you think is the one to go with? You're the guy in charge of bridges. Come on, give me a break.
I know you guys are not in favor of that low water crossing replacing that bridge. That's why that option 2, I believe, would be your most favorable. But to get more bridges accomplished this year, that third option one at the bottom would be.
It's an extra bridge, and with that, that combination is actually lower than option 2.
Like I said, at one point you're going to have to accomplish that 140-foot structure, but
Is a 140-foot structure used a lot?
really, I would say the traffic count's probably 15 to 20 on it.
So
But
it's
they're
not really-
all in that same range. I mean,
Okay.
the 30, 40, and 100 are your most traveled roads. Those are your major collector, I guess, type routes. So the rest of them are just kind of an all system, and we could always file for that 140 footer on an all system bridge program with the state. So
I personally like option number 3 and putting that 19E3 maybe on the next set, or to file for some assistance on the road thing.
I know there's other bridge programs that we've taken in the past, taken advantage of. If there's something like that comes available, are we still looking into other off-system bridge systems?
we have plenty of all system bridges that can be utilized as on those programs. Like I said, the 3, 30, 40, and 100, you'll never get those approved because they're not off system. So that's why I kind of keyed up on those as let's do those because we're not going to get them on a program. But we have probably a good 20, 30 that would be qualified for that. These off systems. We have plenty for the next few years to go through, so there's no shortage in those.
Okay, now these estimates, are these what the actual cost?
Those are estimates. So prices could fluctuate depending on scenario. I mean, that's how I took the average of the highest, lowest, or all of them together. Those are your averages from all the engineers' estimates.
So that's a ballpark estimate.
You really can't get a good one until you do core drills, and then that'll tell you more of what kind of substructure you're going to have in it.
Well, I agree with Bill on the option 3, except if we wanted to take it to 2 million, is there another bridge we could stick in?
Well, that's what after we got the final, that's why I asked that question. Are these locked in? So this could be higher, this could be lower. I would throw in another smaller bridge.
See, right now we don't have any that I had selected at the time. I can go back out and look for one, but right now the rest of them are the 100+ bridges that are anywhere in the 500,000 range and more.
We also got to look at it, if we say let's do option 2 and they all come in higher, we could be over that 2 million, and then we're going to be looking at dropping. So I mean, we would have more of a buffer zone with option 3 with that between what's estimated and or 2.
My goal would be to keep another bridge as an opportunity. Depending on how it
Once
comes
we
in.
get the total, once we get the numbers,
Yeah, why don't
I mean,
we?
it could be
1.5 or something maybe, or 1.6.
because we got to get started.
Yes, I like the option 3 also because we're doing an extra structure. We've got a little bit more buffer room, and if you could maybe have another small, ones that we're considering here for Husker Steel bridge, we could throw in the mix at the last minute. That would be a possibility.
And then there's actually we have a concrete structure that needs a deck replacement on it. That we could always throw that deck replacement to preserve a bridge. I mean, if that's any idea, I mean, just some small maintenance things we could throw in on this project. Or we can add a structure. I mean, it's no problem on that either. I just have to go look back through my inventory to find that next one that's in one of those ranges that'll meet. So that's not a problem.
Pat, if the consensus is option 3, do we need to vote on which option, or does that need to be? I mean,
I don't think you really will vote on it until we're ready to
okay.
the bond.
I mean, we're on camera. I mean, it's going to be noted that.
I think we should at least say, among us, we're all in favor of option 3,
Yes.
and that means that's what Seth should be working on.
Yes.
So there's no question in his mind.
Yes.
So with that being said, we need to move to which firms do we want to use for what structures?
Well, Husker Steel for the small ones.
I think there was 3 of those that we had listed in work session, and then we were
The
going to.
other 3, I guess you need to decide which firm or which firms you would like to use, and that might have to be done here as soon as we get on bids. But
Is that something we need an executive session for, or do we want to talk about that?
I don't think so. I think that discussion has to take place.
Okay. We're too close to the oil bid opening there to rush it.
Why don't we have the other two firms bid them 3 bridges, see which comes in the list?
They've all bid those bridges, haven't they? Yeah.
We're doing a quality-based selection. So what you select the contractor based on the qualifications, and then once you select that, you determine a price for that structure, and then you do negotiations. So you can't technically, I guess, put it out. I mean, you can put it out for bid, but on an engineering firm for design, you have to do a quality-based selection. So you pick the engineer, and then you decide on a cost that meets our standards, their standards. So it's negotiations is really the big key on this, which most of them kind of give us rough estimates. That's what they're going to be looking at.
Now, in these bridges here, they won't be cost share bridges. So we won't give them 6 months to build what should take a month to build,
We can set those parameters.
because we was way on that last on 262nd.
What the engineer is going to do is they're going to develop these specs for the contractor. So if we want those in the specs, they can put that in the specs. So everything we want, we get that engineer. They throw it in the specs, and that's what we want, and we go with it. So.
Well, you mentioned in the workshop you had a road closure for a weekend, and you come back and the signs are gone. You're talking 2 or 3 weeks on a project here, so if it could be done in a month, it should be done in a month, not 6 months.
Correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to the
Yeah. We got 2 oil bids from Vance Brothers, which Adam Holmes is here from, and we got Ergon Asphalt. It's usually the only 2 we ever get. I'll do Vance Brothers first. So we did 2 type of oils this year. One is the RS 1HP, and the other is the SS 1H. So the RS 1HP from Vance Brothers is $1.70 per gallon. We got a 4-hour free unload charge, and if we need the pump charge, which we should not need unless it's an emergency, it's just $65. Okay.
What was that for? What was
The RS 1HP, and then the SS 1H is $1.80 a gallon, and then we have a freight of 7 cents per gallon. So I guess if you want to add that, and the RS 1HP will be delivered to us, so you'll have to add the 7 cents to that. The SS 1H is what we usually go down to Vance Brothers to pick up ourselves, because we only use it once every 2 weeks. We need filled up on that. So
What's the advantage of the SS1H?
that is the asphalt tack oil for our asphalt road, or when we're placing asphalt down.
So are we doing any high traveled roads? I'm kind of sold on Haydock.
It's 2 different processes. The asphalt you have to place with this SS1H. The RS1HP is what we do with the Haydite oil. So, and that's the polymer stuff that we switched to last year. It's been a great product for us. I truly think it's working better.
So we're actually going to use a little of both.
Correct. When we're in
We're not
asphalt
just
season,
picking, okay.
with our laydown machine, we use the SS1H. When we switch over to chip seal, they deliver that because we go through 3 or 4 tankers a day. So, Ergon, the RS 1HP is $2.12 per gallon delivered. And then their SS 1H is $1.85 per gallon, and we would have to drive to El Dorado to pick that up. And they have a pump charge of $60, and then we have free unload for 4 hours. And then they have a 0.0015 per gallon environmental fee added on to 0.0015.
what did you call it?
It's a federal environmental fee.
Environmental. And do you have an estimate of how much of each you're buying this year, or is that?
This year, I don't have the exact estimate because of the extra roads we're going to be trying to add on. So it's going to be more than last year.
That's pretty much the same cost as last year, wasn't it? Maybe up just a few cents.
It's close to the same. Yeah, the SS1H is the same. Is it the same as last year?
It's close.
Close. It's pretty close. I think that's what we might even have budgeted a little bit higher just because oil prices are fluctuating. So I feel those are reasonable.
I wish I knew what you budgeted for. See if there's any money left on the table.
When I get down here, I can call out to the office and see if she can run back because it's on the spreadsheet. Tell me.
Tell you what you did last year.
Okay.
Gallon wise, you did 54,531 gallons.
I guess we did talk the other day. I think I thought we'd be up another 10 to 20,000 gallons on. No, okay, but we'll be up a little bit on the chip seal oil, asphalt oil. We're going to be a lot more because we're going to try to do a lot more asphalt patching this year. So, we were on the SS1H last year.
For SS1H, you guys did 6,968 gallons.
So we'll be upwards of 8 to 10 probably in the SS1H this year.
Didn't we discuss last year, the year before, about throwing what we need in with another county, maybe to get a discount? I know you don't like to hear that. But, if it save the county some money, is there possibility of, I guess the freight would change things a little bit.
I think there was some discussion on maybe between us and Jackson County possibly where they would utilize, or we would utilize their trucks, they'd utilize our equipment. We would both go in on material wise to try to get a better price. Now, they've had a change of management over there, so it's tough to do that because we're both trying to get multiple miles done here, so it is a challenge to have both counties trying to do the same work at the same time. Material wise, I don't know how that would really work out. I mean, truthfully, I think we're all going to get the same amount per gallon, I'm guessing. Because I don't even give them hey, we're going to be at this many gallons this year. We give a rough ballpark, so they're based it off that.
And if we need more, they honor the contract price, correct?
Correct. So we set our parameters from April to like November or something. That's one time we do. So they know from that point to that point they have to honor that price.
I did the math real quick. We held the same
Oh,
price
yeah,
as last
much.
year.
Okay. I thought that was pretty close.
So do I hear a motion to accept one of the bids?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the bid from Vance Brothers for the RS1 HP at $1.70 a gallon plus 7 cents freight, and the SS1H at $1.80 a gallon plus 7 cents a gallon freight.
We won't need freight on that one.
Oh, we don't need freight.
That's, we picked that.
Oh, okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second.
We can't save any money at 7 cents a gallon. We're picking it up at El Dorado.
Oh, that's the second one.
Oh, okay.
No, we're going to Kansas City to pick this up.
Okay.
It's one of those things, we use 200-300 gallons a day. We have a 2,000 gallon tank, so it wasn't feasible to have them truck it up to us for 2,000 gallons.
I'm getting confused. Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's 3-0.
Fantastic. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice doing business with you, sir.
Absolutely. I guess.
Huh? Do I sign that?
I don't have any.
Yeah,
Does it
it's
have
not
a
a PO.
signature down there?
This is just,
I think normally we just approve it per the bid and then we just go with that. Because I buy multiple mounts throughout the year.
That's pretty close to last year's price.
He says exactly the same. So they didn't move, which is good. I mean, with oil prices fluctuating, it's nice they can hold their steady. And I'm almost positive I budgeted like 20 cents more per gallon just for that safety of that, which we'll utilize that with all this extra we're going to go with. So, other than that, I guess back to this bridge discussion. I guess, so Husker Steel is your preference for bridge 30, 40, and 100.
I believe so, yes.
I got a question for you. Is that your preference?
I'm fine with any. Husker Steel does a great product. I do still prefer to have an inspector on scene inspecting the steel, inspecting the concrete work. I do want to hire a
Private one.
firm to inspect.
Offsite inspector.
On all structures like that. I prefer the engineer that designs it does it. I don't know if Husker Steel does bridge inspection in that form, but I would like to at least hire, if they don't, have one of the other three firms inspect those bridges through the construction process, make sure the steel is correct, the piling's driven to bearing, concrete is tested for strength. I want all those done. That's crucial to have a successful and long-term bridge.
I got a question for Pat. Let's say Husker Steel is hungry. They want to start this project in a month.
Well, what did he tell us? In 60 days.
What's it going to take to get the bonds? We need to get that put in place pretty quick too.
Well, I think, I can't remember what the timeline was. Was it 60 days or 90 days?
It's
60 on the short side.
90 days for the bonding, wasn't it?
The only caveat I would say is you don't want to borrow the money and then put it in the bank.
No.
You want to be ready to need it at that point.
Can we get with the bonding and get a time schedule and then get with Husker Steel, get a time schedule and say we need you to start blah, 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 and so many days to complete your job,
Yes.
weather permitting?
I got that timeline and I can't find it right now. We had done that already.
And then once we agree that we're going with the one firm on the three smaller bridges, they can get us a set price.
Correct.
That will be,
I
and
do
then we'll
have-
know if we could add a bridge to option 3 or not.
I do have Chris with Husker Steel. He is going to come up next week because we wanted to discuss another bridge project for the future. So I can run these by him. And I believe with Husker Steel's prices, they were pretty close. But right now, I know steel prices are going up weekly. So there could be, once we lock them in, they're going to lock in the steel price. So I think the sooner the better on the steel structures, especially the way steel's going right now.
And you'd mentioned something about redoing a top. You would rather do that than to add another structure into this.
Depending on where we're at. I mean, if we have $200,000, we could try to find a small bridge, but we're going to be cutting it close. We could do a $50,000 resurfacing of a concrete structure. I think that'd be a great asset, especially on the road that it's on. It's right off Phillips Road, off 59. It's that first bridge you hit on your way to the Warnout. So it's a very traveled road, and it's in dire need. And just maintenance like that.
I thought that was part states.
It's our responsibility. So just preserving that bridge, doing that another 30 years out of that, or 40 years. It's a 1940s bridge structure, and we can get plenty more years just keeping the surfaces right. So it's just an option.
If you could spend 50,000 and get 30 or 40 more years, that'd be a good investment.
Correct. That's where I was at. So,
Yes, ma'am.
with us, we've selected the other three. And that's where we're at now. And 3 other firms. What's your opinions for those?
Well, if we go with salesmanship, I got my obvious, but finished product. Have we had bridges built by either one of the firms?
Like I said, BG designed the Buldridge Bridge. Swabian's designed the last 2, and they're on their current one for off systems. I have not had Cook Flat and Strobel design a bridge while I've been in office. Now they may have in the past. And I know they have brought up some information on some. I guess to put it this way, they've all done bridge bonding projects for different counties. They've all been involved, so all of them have the experience in this. Whether it's from
Why don't we have the 2 firms bid on both of them, and we'll look at the cost if the quality works the same.
It's a challenge to do that because, like I said, they can't really give us a firm number until there's been core drillings done to determine the substructure of these structures. So all they can really tell us is here's the superstructure. We can do that no matter what. We don't know what's going in the ground.
Well, on our part or my part, I wouldn't sign on nothing till I see what the cost is.
I think basically we had kind of an estimate of their anticipated cost.
Wasn't it 15,000 Cordell?
It ranged from 4,000. Some of them have it in house, so it's 3,000. I think like BG was around 64. Cook Flat was around 4,000. 4,000 to 7,000 on Swabby. So I mean, they're all over. It depends on what you want. Really, what you're picking on the firm is their design costs. The construction costs, you're not going to have any. I mean, that's when it goes out for bid. It's whoever the contractor is that bids on it. So right now, you're really just picking on a engineer firm for what their design cost will be.
I didn't care for the last bridge we just got done on the highway, so I wasn't real pleased with that.
And that was Schwab-Eaton.
Correct.
Do you have any preference?
I got to tell you, Seth's got to be the one telling me, and tell me the plus minuses. I don't want to get too plain, but it's got to come from you. You're the one that goes every day.
Yeah. Like I said, I have no. I mean, they're all great companies. They're all big firms. They all have done these structures. I've dealt more with Swab-Eaton, so I favor them. But then again, Cook Flat and Strobel are great guys to work with.
It's common to go with the people that you're comfortable with.
And I'm fine going outside the box. I want to see what they have to offer. I mean, they could all offer something completely different. They could all save us money.
If I remember right, the Rankus Group, which is
Cook Flat and Strobel.
They didn't have a bunch of added costs where the other company did, if I recall right. Well, that wasn't included, but we can furnish it. That wasn't included, but we can furnish it.
I think their estimates were higher overall, but maybe it's because they are including. So it's gonna, this is a package deal, or you're doing the add-on. So I think all in all, you're gonna
about
the same.
So I mean, we could do 2 for one firm and 1 for the other, and at least we'll get the feel for both of them on these. And one only has 1, the other has 2. And we can do that way and just eliminate 1.
We're already going to be doing 2. I think I'd rather maybe do the 3 remaining in one shot, so we're not going to be juggling 3 or 4 projects in one.
I think our intention is to do this not next year, not 19, but maybe look at it at 20 and definitely 21 to do it again.
Right.
Yeah, you can get too many involved. I think if you went with one doing 3 and the other one doing 3, possibly. No, there will be 3 and 3 right now, and if we had another one, there might be 4 and 3, or we might I would just pick one of them.
So, I mean, if I were to actually plug in the actual estimates of what the firms have done, I do believe we're going to be quite a bit under. I mean, we could almost add another small structure in.
That'd be great if we could.
I'm trying to press the number in here.
With, if you threw in, we'd be up to 7. That would save us roughly in how much in engineer fees to examine the bridges a year? 10,000.
I don't think your engineering fees are going to change much. It's going to be your construction fees.
Well, you're
Inspection
just saying,
fees.
getting-
Oh, inspection.
getting rid of
Inspection
the
fees.
inspection fees.
How much would we? How much?
It's like some of those are 4,000 or 5,000 a year, aren't
Yeah,
they? But not on the smaller ones.
For those bridges we looked at, you're around $4,000 or $5,000 in inspection fees. You're going to save. I mean, you still have to pay the biannuals, which is $70, $80, and that's every other year. So you'll save that much at least.
yeah, but you take that 4,000 or 5,000 over just a few years. You can build a bridge, or you can pay it in inspection fees.
Well, maybe to facilitate this, I think the question was put to Seth, and Schwab Eaton is what came out. So, I mean, I'm not saying trying to put this all on you, but
I like the other one. I like
okay,
because they're local. They're more local.
okay.
But then again, we don't know the price. Maybe they're going to be $50,000 more.
I think we're dealing with unknowns that you couldn't never know them. I mean,
That's
you're
why
not going to know the bids until the bids come in, and you can't do that. I mean, it's a process after the process.
That's why I wanted them all to come in and give their. This is who we are. This is what our
Yeah, but
qualifications
see, I'm
are.
not sure that was good because we had one that was super salesman and one that couldn't sell a gallon of water to a person in the desert.
So,
Well, if somebody has a preference, make a motion.
I like Cook's Flat Petroleum. Hopefully their price will be reasonable.
Do I hear that as a motion?
Yes, I'll make that as a motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Cook Flat Strobel as the engineers on 3 of the bridge projects. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. I guess I should say 4. There would be 4 of the bridge structures. Wouldn't be, there was
Well,
7
there's
on
3
that?
now.
We don't know if we can add enough.
Okay.
Oh, that's why I was working
I
on
was gonna make sure that
calculations here.
I got the count right.
And what I can do, if you give me a minute, I'll throw in Cook Flats estimated ballpark could be what I'm not really sure. Let's see what it was.
Yeah, I keep thinking of the last bridge. And our criteria have all been met. I mean, we went for areas, so one area isn't getting them all.
There's one that not. I mean, it's the field. It's a large structure. It's going to be eliminating the structure. That's the only one that's really not top on there, but it's a safety issue. And
It is one that has a very, I mean, long detour, or
there is no
yeah,
detour.
there is no, okay, there is no detour. So yeah, that
So we're kind of getting one in each township,
well,
There'll be
or a couple in
there'll be 3 in the west.
western half.
Well, my area has been very fortunate the last 2 or 3 years where I've got, what, 4 or 5?
I think we need to keep a watchful eye, but we cannot on this just have to exactly geographically spread these out even.
Well, I think
Because
that's
I
important.
have no problem that we don't have any bridges in my So I'll follow suit.
But no, I mean, we do need to keep that it's not going to one area exactly per the county. But I'm satisfied with the distribution.
Wow. Okay. So that was 6 of them. Putting their numbers in that are, like I said, rough, and we're at 1.3.
That's good.
So there's a good possibility we could add another structure in.
Maybe 2.
2 smaller ones, 1 larger one, and maybe a maintenance or
That's
we
good.
could even add
That's
the
good.
Leavenworth County one.
So, get it done. What are you doing here?
I will contact Cook Flat Stowell. I'll have them work up a final, I guess, design estimate, and I guess I'll take the page back.
Well, I don't think the taxpayers can say they're just paying more taxes and not getting any benefits. If they see 7 or 8 new bridges pop up in 1 year, and that's the only way we're ever going to get ahead of that. And even at that, we're
way behind.
yeah. You know, next year we can't do it, but maybe the following year we'll have to wait and see how we're at.
I forgot my PO for Urban's. I'm gonna run and make a PO up for that, for the hydro seeding, and I'll be back for that.
Okay.
You guys gonna be here for a little bit still?
Yeah, we've got, I think, some other things.
Okay.
We can revisit the Schwab Eaton proposal for the solid waste facility. Any new thoughts on that?
Stacy's gone and nobody got
I'll
a
move to approve as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Schwab Eaton bid for the feasibility study for the solid waste facility building.
I'm sure that solid waste board has seen these figures.
Well, this is what they're asking for the figures for the
To see a feasible study.
the feasibility study, which
I
part of it is
I don't think they'd have a problem with that.
well,
I'll second that. Jack made a motion also.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's 3-0.
Did you want to look at that?
I've seen that.
Okay.
She's emailed it to you.
Okay.
We talked about it.
Is there any other new business with the board?
I was hoping that Wes would be up here because Jamie and him was really concerned about the time clocks, and now that's kind of went by the wayside. And Wes was going to check in about how to involve the 4-H with the new 911 addresses, see if we got any feedback. So you may schedule Wes for next week. He can come talk about those two things.
Okay. I have something. Pat and I've been. He sent me some emails or determinations from the Attorney General opinions on just trying to gather some information for possible talks with the city on the 1-cent sales tax. And something that's come up is if the committee would decide to go to something, do a change out of the bond or the sales tax approval at the ballot box, can a dedicated sales tax can it substitute the current one in one vote, one ballot? He gave me some Attorney General's opinions, but they didn't really seem to mirror our situation in the fact that in those counties that had this determination written about were the sales tax that already had a sunset date attached to it. So some of it was just by attrition would have stopped anyway, and the language says that you couldn't amend a current sales tax issue, which it wouldn't be amending, it would be a repeal and replace, kind of like they tried to do with the healthcare thing. So what's involved with actually getting an attorney general opinion on something like this? This is just exploratory thing. If that's were, I mean, if you wait till after they choose, if the board would choose to go that direction, and then it's going to take an extra amount of time. That's the reason I'm asking about it now, because it would probably be a lengthy process, wouldn't it?
Well, if you wanted, candidly, I don't know how long it takes to get an attorney general opinion. They don't answer they're not required to answer every question that's asked to them. I would be hesitant about asking for one. I think we ought to come up with what we believe the law is and go with it. Unless there's really an issue that seems like it could go either way, if you will. I agree with you about the Attorney General opinions that we talked about, that both of them make reference to amending a resolution that's been adopted. Neither one of them explicitly just raises the issue but doesn't answer it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess someone could read that as saying that it doesn't say that it's authorized either. I think you probably, if all you're doing is replacing the countywide retailer sales tax that is distributed according to statute based upon to the cities and to the unincorporated parts of the county based upon population and assessed valuation, which is what we currently have. If you're just repealing that one and replacing that with another, just a different percentage, I feel confident that you could do that in one ballot initiative.
Well, I mean, when reading them, there was a couple things. Like I say, one was, would it take more than one ballot to repeal one to vote in the new dedicated or whatever, and they really don't talk about having. None of them really talked about doing that in one swoop, because I think, if there's some of these things that are not feasible, I mean, there's no use of going down that rabbit hole and getting all excited or either for or against it unless we kind of know the direction we're going. I mean, this could be a suggestion that may not be feasible. So I was just wondering, at what point do you ask for that?
Well, I guess you ask for it when there's an issue that you think is completely decided by the Kansas courts,
Uncharted,
and that you're concerned that if you take action, that you need guidance on which way to turn. I don't think you ought to ask for that until I've researched it and we've discussed whatever the issue is, the exact issue, in more detail.
I mean, I don't know the timeline. I mean, I'm just bringing it up now because I thought that, usually if you ask for something like that, it could be months in the process.
The other thing about the sales tax, countywide retailer sales tax, the statute provides that it can be repealed in the same manner that they're adopted. While they're adopted by the county commission passing a resolution that says we're going to have this tax unless somebody complains, and so you can repeal it, and unless there's a ballot initiative, a groundswell against it, it will become effective unless there's a protest petition filed. So.
Now, maybe that's where I'm getting, wasn't it passed not by resolution but by ballot? it was voted on and passed by ballot, so wouldn't it have to be canceled the same way?
I don't think so, because it doesn't, I would get the statute.
Well, Pat's looked that up. I looked at the agenda that you sent out, Eric.
I haven't sent an agenda out.
I sent that,
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it came from there.
I sent,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I had him send what you had sent to him.
Okay, I was just gonna say the 1% sales tax, what's it on? So,
Oh, okay.
okay, no,
No,
I thought it came from you.
I don't know. I've got paper. I can't
Okay,
send it.
okay.
I will when I generate something. I haven't heard back from Becky yet either, so I don't know. It might be a day or two before I get the city.
Are we back on for that same date, that meeting?
Yes, 26 at 5 o'clock. Correct.
County host at the back.
County host at 4:09.
There's some coffee. Or some drinks.
Do you
It
request
doesn't have to
coffee?
be coffee.
No, we were gonna have water. I mean, as I would stop.
So you
I just meant something.
you can follow that on some cookies.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking.
We want to remember that they're going to be coming out of probably a 2-hour meeting, so
No, they had their meeting last night, so they won't be
they
having.
won't have a meeting.
This is the
Okay.
fifth one then.
I see, okay.
So that's something else that we will need to advertise and put it out. Especially since the confusion, we would need to get the word out.
any let's see. Any repeal of such tax, that is a retailer sales tax that's gone to the voters, shall be accomplished in the manner provided herein for the adoption and approval of such tax. So I think you could do it either way. I think you could. It doesn't say that you have to do it in whatever way it was adopted. So they could be adopted either with you passing a resolution and going for a protest petition, or by you putting it on the ballot. And in fact, when they did it initially, they put it on the ballot. They didn't. They asked for a protest petition, or didn't give an opportunity for one.
I'd feel more comfortable with it at the ballot.
So you could do it that way as well. You could, I think you could.
I mean, the only scenario I could think of if that would ever come to fruition would be that one would be voted out with one to replace it all on the same ballot. Okay.
Okay, so this is one we talked about, the hydro seeding for the roadsides that we've been shaving the shoulders off of, basically just hydro seeding your residential lots that have maintained their yards, what we'll spray back with hydro seed. The rest of the areas that we disturbed will be just seeded back by our forces. And the back page is actually the cost for it's the very bottom of that, and then the next page. This is what we're accomplishing.
$3,800.88. $38.88.
Correct.
Why it's fresh in our mind, shouldn't we put a policy into place now for 6 months from now? We won't remember what we did.
Basically, my philosophy is if I tear somebody's yard they maintain up, I'm going to replace it to be as good, if not better, than what they had. I'm not going to.
Creates good PR for the county.
Correct. I'm not going to go tear somebody's yard up and leave it.
Did you want to see it? Do I hear a motion to accept the hydro seeding bid?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
I will make one note. We only had one bid on this. There's not too many people that do it. I don't know if that other kid does it here in Denver now. Sterling something.
Like a piece of business. I haven't seen room.
I haven't seen it for a while either.
That may be mine.
Mhm.
We don't want your time, because I think that starts at 2 o'clock.
So we should, okay.
Okay.
So
Oh,
yeah,
do you need that? Or
well, I just need to sign it. I guess I need it for Mike.
Okay.
I'll get a copy for you. Is there anything on that city county meeting agenda that I need to be there for? Or?
I don't know yet because I haven't seen what the city is. I will email you or text you if there is.
Is there anything that you can think of?
We really don't have any projects with them this year that I know of.
I haven't
I mean, I
heard
can be
anything
there just in
mentioned yet.
case something comes up.
That's up to you.
I'll see. I mean, if it's nothing I'm going on, I can step in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any?
Mr. Chairman, I actually think there should be a requirement that our department heads attend the meeting, joint city county meeting. Right. Especially road and bridge or public safety. Any of those things could come up.
Okay, I mean, that's something different I hadn't thought of before.
I have mixed feelings. If something's brought up, they'll be there. But let's say we have 3 meetings and nothing's going to be brought up, then our department heads will say, why am I wasting my time going? Now, if it's on the agenda, most definitely. I'd say
Okay,
it'd
well,
be
based on the agenda then.
mandatory. If it's on the agenda and it deals with something we
So
have.
if insurance is on the agenda, which I don't know if it will be, somebody who does insurance for the county should be there.
Okay.
Jamie, I guess, if she's available.
On that topic, do we? Okay, I know we can ask them to be there. Can we require that all or any employees be at a meeting like that?
Better than employee, should we have somebody from Gallagher be there to tell us the pros and the cons?
I think that would definitely
Is
that would be good, but I think it would be hard
They
to
get stuck to.
schedule.
Maybe we decide we want to do it first.
Well, me personally, I would like to know all the details before I would say, yes, I'm willing to do it, or no, I'm not.
Oh yeah, I mean this is. You mean when you say do it, you mean get a bid or?
I'd like
actually,
to see what's the advantages and what's the disadvantages.
Oh yeah.
Before I would say, yeah, let's do it. Or no, I won't do it.
But what I'm saying though is when you say do it is to actually doing it is taking the bid, or do it is to actually go through and get the insurance together.
I'm willing to go down and listen to what they have to say, but unless we have somebody with some hard facts, I don't know how we would make an educated call on it.
Okay. Well, I will ask Jamie either personally or send her an email on it. See if she's available. Okay. Any county councilor updates?
To answer that question, yes, I think you can order any of your non-elected department heads to do just about anything that's not unlawful. So you could make it a condition of their employment that they attend, or at least encourage them to attend. So you could do that if there's a good reason to do it. There's not be a good reason. If you want to do it, you could
Just require it. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm saving my notes. I did on the right-of-way acquisition for the bridge that we're looking at building. I have talked with the landowners about it. They wanted some information. I gathered that and sent it to them. And probably sometime this week we'll talk about dollar figures. I also had gotten from the appraiser an estimate of what they thought the value of the land is. I think it's certainly less than, I think, 0.43 acres in total. that includes a construction easement that will just be used during the construction. As a policy, I think it's probably a good idea in the future to actually acquire in writing an option purchase before we submit the applications with the state, because we've been in the position where we were either going to have to not go through with the project or use eminent domain. Commissioner Polk can probably tell you it wasn't the most fun. And I think that can be avoided if we get the commitment before we submit the application. So in the future, that's just something I'd like to see us do. So I should have by next week something more definitive about acquiring that right away.
That's something else we got to consider when we're doing these bridges. We may have to buy some ground. I don't foresee it. There might be a small cost there.
Well, you're right. So we probably should be getting in touch with them on all of those now.
We won't know until after the survey, though, if how much land will be required, though, will we?
Right, but we could enter into an agreement and even pay for something.
Like a contingency plan?
Whatever is necessary according to the engineer.
Process up down the road.
On square foot basis or something, we compensated for it and have the agreement already in place before. We could have limits, of course, on it. I'll get with Seth to talk to him about that. The Walnut Township 2 agreement, I guess was done last week.
Yes. And that is in. I did talk with
that was in
Greg.
our meeting.
But I talked to him a couple days later and talked to him at Lancaster. And he said he's going to put an extra extension on it because after getting it in, but he said they had one and he wasn't charging any more for it or anything. He said it's turned out really well.
The other things, I just have two things that were on the list, but they weren't really, I don't think, assigned to anybody in particular. And that is, did we want to look at central purchasing? Did you want to look at central purchasing, particularly of supplies? And
I took it as the department heads really didn't like that because they needed different papers. They wanted to be in control of their department. And that was the way I took it.
My understanding is that somebody buys the big item of paper already. I think who said they bought the paper?
Shelley from the register.
Shelley by the Register of Deeds office. So that's the big thing. What I think we don't want to have is them being motivated to buy extra supplies because they're going to get some kind of benefit personally. Now, the department, they're going to get a coffee maker for the office or something.
That's fine.
That's
As long
fine.
as it stays within the courthouse, I'm fine with anything.
That's I think it's just common sense, and it's probably in our employee handbook. Also, it's probably spelled out.
I bet it's
not.
Because that thing was probably 1925 when it was made.
Okay. So they have paper back then? Okay, so
It's papyrus.
That needs to be updated.
I got Jack laughing.
That needs to be updated.
So, but I have been in a lot of situations in the corporate world, and generally you go to every office coming over and open the door. There's enough supplies to choke a horse.
Yes.
And I don't know how you ever get a handle on it.
Especially when there's perks being.
Yeah,
I would kind of like to hear, or maybe some feedback. There was talk of trying to get department heads having a monthly staff meeting or something there. If this was actually talked about without us here and seeing what maybe their proposal would be, is there maybe something that we're missing, or I'd love to hear.
I can tell you what they're going to say. Well, what does it hurt? It ain't costing the county nothing.
Well, I do think that there's. Well, I mean, we could also look at it from our standpoint and say, is there a cost savings? But
Yeah, could we get some free Scotch tape instead of a pop pans? Did you see the commercial on TV where the guy asks for some electrical tape, and the guy says, "I need to see the core. I need to see the cardboard core.
I didn't see it.
oh,
I'm not issuing you the more electric tape till I see the core."
I think I have seen that.
It's a little bit to the extreme, but maybe in between somewhere is reality.
Yeah.
Do you need more Scotch tape, or just lost your 12 rolls of Scotch tape?
I know that, like I say, when I did take that tour, there looked like caches of paper here and there and everywhere, and it wasn't necessarily all coming from the same place. So it's not that they were just storing it in different places; it was being ordered from
Some
different
of them
places.
have been there for a long time too.
Yeah.
The bottom couple, that much is probably harder than a rock from the moisture.
Okay. Do you have anything more?
Well, so is that a direction to do anything?
No.
Okay,
Sorry.
consider it.
I don't. We got an awful lot, but that's definitely something this year we need to address.
I agree. I don't know if right now we really know yet what we want
We
to
got the
do.
strategic plan. It's going to take some time. That's crucial. That's important.
That's almost part of strategic
And
planning
the
would be.
budgets, that all kind of go hand in hand.
Maybe Jamie will get a chance after the budget's to work the handbook.
That's
She's
been
been doing that going to do that for a couple of years.
that insurance keeps her jumping because she's got a lot of employees, with all the nursing home employees and everything. So
Oh, that's another. That's another dimension.
so I can see that part of strategic planning as part of central purchasing being kind of wrapped up into that.
Well, I think we all told them that we don't want to cut services, and we don't want to cut their salaries. So now they got to find. There's definitely some $25 here, $50 here. That all adds up. There's got to be some savings there that can be had. That won't cost benefits or their pay or services.
Yeah.
Or letting some employees go. That's always the first place you want to look. Where can we save without cutting employees and salaries and benefits and service?
Okay. Is that it? Is there anything else from anybody? So do I hear a motion to adjourn at 2:53.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's 3-0.